Everyone wants more money, but most of us weren't taught how to create an abundant life. That's where the More Money Show comes in. If you're ready to have more money, create more freedom, and experience more fun, turn the volume up. It's time to learn how to create the prosperity and life you have been dreaming of. Here's your host, Cassie Parks.
Hello, and welcome to the Happy Ever After show, soon to be known as the More Money Show. I'm your host, Cassie Parks, and I am so excited that you are joining me today. Thank you for taking me wherever you're taking me, whether it's on your jog, in your car, on the bus. I'm just glad that we get to spend the next 20 to 30 minutes together. Even more excited that we're talking about how to put this whole process of manifesting $10,000 together, and the things that are really important to do along the way with that. So I know you're listening because you want to welcome more money into your life without that struggle so that you can build your business quicker and easier. And today we're going to talk about, again, how to put the phases together, amping up your beliefs along the way, which is important, so important for manifesting money and deliberate creation in general. And we're going to talk about celebrating, because celebrating is also very important, because the more that you celebrate, the more you find that you have to celebrate. And then you start creating more things to celebrate. So it's a really awesome cycle, that celebration cycle. As I mentioned, we are going to soon be, if not when you are listening to this, the More Money Podcast. You know, this is one of those, I always like to give you guys the business behind the scenes, because that's where this podcast started. Happy Ever After was the name of this podcast from the beginning, because you go into business, you become an entrepreneur because you want your business to be your happy ever after and give you that life that you've dreamed of. And that's really where that came out of. And as just stepping into my future self and really opening up to the next level of growth and opportunity, both in myself and my business, I got whispers from my future self, like I talk about, and it was like, the podcast name needs to change, right? It needs to be more something. And I didn't know what. And I just said, okay, I'm going to just listen. I'm going to listen to the next whisper. I'm just going to wait for the answer, right? Because I've actually been, I had wanted to change it a while ago. I just didn't, I didn't know what, right? And so I just didn't do anything, because I have found it is easier to not force things. And, I could have forced a new name. I could have figured something out. I probably could have done a lot of research. I don't know what else I could have done. But I could have put a lot of energy and a lot of spinning into figuring out what I wanted to do next, but I just knew it was okay. And if I just keep showing up and I just keep, giving you guys good content and you keep putting me in your ears, the answer would come. I don't need to force it or change it. What I need to do is I need to show up and I need to do the work that I'm meant to do in the world. And that's part of that is this. And thank you to all of you who have, shared with me what an impact the podcast has on your life. I love getting on the phone with someone or getting an email and it's like, oh my gosh, I listen to your podcast all the time. It's made such a difference in my life. I really love hearing that. So if you ever feel like you want to share that, please do. You can email me or you can find me on Facebook. I love to hear it. I really love also if you leave a review on iTunes, because that lets me know. I read those. And then it also lets other people know that this is of value and that you like what you're hearing. So any way you want to share it, I would love to hear it. And again, where I got off on that was because, I could have researched a name. I could have forced it. I could have done that. But really what I know is if I just keep doing what I'm meant to do, the answers come, and stepping into my future self. That's key, right? But if I just keep doing stuff, if I don't force things when they're not the right timing, and I don't know if I could have come up with the More Money podcast earlier. There's something about doing this, I'm about to close out on what I would call this season. There's a couple more episodes where we're really going through this whole Manifest 10,000 process so that, you can buy the book and follow along. This can be a support guide, or you never have to buy the book and you never have to join the course. And you still get access to this very foundational money manifesting stuff, juice that I've been working on for a long time. And, we're about to close in on that season. And I don't know if I could have come up with the More Money podcast if I hadn't stepped fully into this season. And that's, just part of the process, and part of what I teach is sometimes you have to be patient. You have to step forward into different experiences in order to see what the next step is. And most importantly, you just have to stay tapped into your future self and the answer will come. And I'm excited about this. Like oh my gosh, the artwork is amazing. I'm so excited about this podcast. And, most of the podcasts that are out there that are about money, they're sales strategies, they're investment strategies, they're all this stuff, which I love. Don't get me wrong. I'm a real estate investor. I, at one point, held an investment license. And so I love all of that kind of stuff. I love like kind of the technical, I don't know, how you create more money type of stuff. But what I know to be true is that when you do this work, when you create the foundation of a money mindset, and so that you can allow, welcome, celebrate more and more money coming into your life, then when you go find those strategies, it's super easy and you're lined up and you pick the strategies naturally that work for you. And so I think this is important too. And so I'm excited, I don't know, thanks for hanging with me. And I'm excited to be able to share this in a bigger way, because I think it's going to open up the show. But don't worry, if you listen to me because you're an entrepreneur, that's why you found the show. I'm always going to give you that backstage pass into my business as much as possible. Always going to let, pull behind whatever curtain I think will be helpful and share with you. And that's why I'm sharing this with you now, is because first and foremost, I'm speaking to the entrepreneurs that are in my tribe, because that's why this podcast started. That's also who I work mostly with, is entrepreneurs. And so, every once in a while, somebody, who is an entrepreneur gets to sneak in and gets to hang out with us. But for the most part, it is entrepreneurs. And that's, I'm called to serve, because for me, this stuff took me a long time to figure out. And I just want to be able to shorten that for anyone that I can. So it was a long way of saying that I'm always going to pull back that curtain, give you as much, again, that backstage pass as I can. Let you see behind, let you see, whatever I can share with you that I think might be helpful. So that doesn't change. But being an entrepreneur is all about creating more money in your life. It's about taking the wheel of your life. I think when you become an entrepreneur and you really make that choice, you're taking this destiny of more money, very seriously in your life, and you're creating that for yourself. So it's all about more money. Being an entrepreneur is all about more money. So we're just that's what's changing, is just really stepping up. I'll be honest, when I started, the Money course, which is now Manifest 10K, I didn't necessarily want to own that I was this person, that I was the person who taught about money. And that took a while, and it took continuing to step into my future self. It took continuing to show up. It took, continuing to write books and really having reflected on the page my knowledge and doing stuff like this podcast. So it's been a journey to get here, and I'm excited for that. So yeah, that's the news on the podcast. The other news is that, I've told you this a little bit on the last show, is that I'm opening it up and I'm going to share more stories, and you're going to hear why today. We're going to talk more about that. But, I love what I'm able to teach you, but I also love being able to share other people's stories with you. And so we're going to move into a season about that. So I'm excited. Things are they're so good. I had one of those moments. This happens like pretty frequently now, where I just like stop in the middle of the day and I'm like, how did this become my life? How did I get here? Right? Because I know how I got here. It hasn't been all sunshine and roses, but it's been good, and it's worth everything that I had to go through that was hard or felt hard, or I don't know, felt not good in the process. Because there are those things, like growth isn't always pain-free, and that's just because things, again, they have to, I think we've talked about this before in the podcast, but things have to break apart in order to be put back together in a new way. And that doesn't always feel good. And I'm the first to admit that I'm really glad I learned that I don't have to freak out, that I can just stay with it when something doesn't feel good and recognize it as, okay, this is breaking apart. Like, I just need to be with this. Because it gets you to these moments that I had today, which was, I talked to my VA, who's amazing. And she's takes notes. She's the one who puts the notes together. So I know she's listening and she can hear how amazing she is. But, we were talking about book launch stuff for Manifest 10,000, and we're going through a process, and, we're having a book launch team. If you haven't joined it yet and you want to, contact me, the Cassie Parks at gmail.com, and I'll get you in touch with my assistant, and she'll get you on the list, and we'll get all that taken care of. But we're putting together a book launch team, and it's a little more in depth than I've done before, and it's fun, and we're excited about it. Anyway, we were talking about it this morning, and not too long after I got off the phone, I got the full cover wrap for Double Your Business. And it was like, it's just this reality set in a very, I know that book is coming out. It's coming out in January. It's going to be, in print in January in bookstores, same as Manifest 10,000. But I just had this moment where it's like, oh man, I'm planning the book launch for one book, and I'm looking at the cover of my next book, which is coming out, 9 months from now. And it really, I always feel like an entrepreneur, but there was something different, because now it's not, I don't know, where do I plan to be next year? Like, there's some things I already know. I already know next January I have a book launch. My book is going to be in bookstores, and that's big. And it was just, I don't know if it's coming across in this story as a powerful a moment as it was, but it was just super cool to be, talking in the morning about one launch and be getting the information, the full cover, which it's amazing. I love the cover. Just getting the cover in my inbox of my next book, and knowing that's just the path and the journey and all of that. So just wanted to share that. And again, all of that is possible because of what I'm teaching you on this podcast and what is in the book Manifest 10,000. So if it's time, if you want the book to go along with this podcast, please go to Amazon, Books A Million, Powell's, whatever, whoever you like to order books from, and order Manifest 10,000 online. Just put in the search Manifest 10,000 and you'll find it. And if you love the podcast, I would love if you get that. Because again, for two reasons. Number one, if you love the podcast, it's just a way of support me and my work. Getting out there. It's a way of introducing me to other people, because the more people who buy the book, the more they put the book on the shelves, and that's just the way it works. And so I always think of it as you're paying it forward and helping someone else find this work. So if it's changed your life, I would love if you do that. And that's why I love it. But I also love it because, again, foundational to the life I get to live today is the work that we're talking about. So let's get into it, because I actually am very excited about this. So let's talk about the phases. I've taught, we've gone over the, all of the phases, of the process and how they work. And so I just want to touch really quick on how you put them together. This is really this is a process you do over 90 days. And we're going to talk a little bit about commitment and how to set yourself up for success, not just in this course, but in other areas of life as well in the next couple podcasts. And this is a 90-day process. And I just want you to own that, because you don't shift your money mindset on a dime. Like some people can, they just wake up one day and they go, okay, I'm a person with money. Actually, I don't actually know a story if that's true, but I'm sure somebody's done it, because a lot of things, for most people, I like to give the example of a cruise ship. If a cruise ship is going forward and they want to turn right, it takes a while to steer. They can't do it in 1 second, right? I don't actually know how long it takes, but it takes a while because you're steering this big boat. And so giving yourself 90 days to commit to this process, to really lay this foundation, to get clear, to go through all of the phases is huge and important. So do that. Commit to that. Give yourself the time, because you're turning a cruise ship here. And it's totally worth, holding the steering wheel and going through the whole process. Again, how I got to this life was this the foundation of it. So real quick, it's broken into trimesters, because 90 days, basically every 30 days is a trimester. So that first 30 days, really what you want to do is get clear about what you want. You want to identify your abundance feelings. You want to focus on what you want, and you want to work on allowing more money into your life. The second trimester, which is day 31 to 60, you really want to be creating your new money beliefs, your new money persona, and then you want to be integrating that money persona into your life. And so we talked a little bit about that. We talked about that, not just a little bit. We talked about that on the last show. And then we also talked about trimester 3, which is days 61 to 90. And you're still practicing and implementing everything that we've talked about all along, days 61 to 90. But where you also add in the focus is really stepping into that experience. And we talked about that in terms of scripting, how you want it to be. And then there's 2 things that you want to be doing through the whole process. And really that's amping up your belief in what's possible, and that's celebrating early and often. So let's talk about amping up your belief. Belief amping. So I call it belief amping. I talked a little bit about it on the last podcast. When I wrote Manifest 10K, this was my intention, was when I wrote the program, the online course, which you can join at manifest10k.com if you want to. When I wrote, I said, okay, when I didn't really think about it. It just came to me, right? If you've heard this story before, I outlined it in May. I decided in December I was going to write it. I came home from Spain in January. Spain? Yeah, Spain. And I started writing. No, I don't know. It doesn't really matter. I think it was actually, I came home from Toronto and started writing it. But so it was Toronto. Anyway, that doesn't matter to you. But so, I came home after a New Year's Eve trip and I started writing the course. And what came to me was to follow the outline, but to also share my stories. And the reason, so if you've taken the course, if you've been through Manifest 10K or you're taking it now, you know that every email, or now that it's in Kajabi, every day you log in, the first thing you get is a story. And it's a story about, most of them are mine. There's a couple that are friends of mine, because I really liked the story for the particular event, or, the teaching of the day. But most of them are mine, and they're how money just started coming into my life when I started doing the things that we're talking about. The things I teach in this book and the things I teach in this course. And the reason that I put the stories in is for the thing that I call belief amping. And I don't know if anyone else uses that term, but I use it. And it's how you it's amping up your belief in what's possible. And the way that I think that I have found is most successful in doing this, oftentimes here's what people do is they're like, okay, well, I have some negative beliefs about money, so I'm going to try and cover those up with positive beliefs. I'm going to try and think positive about money, yada, yada, yada. And that works sometimes, but it didn't work super well for me. We've talked about that. It doesn't work super well for me to just, try and change my negative beliefs into positive beliefs. But what did work was looking for where it was working, looking for where people were having positive experiences with money. And when I started opening up to those stories and opening up to the fact that people, because for me, the biggest one was like how hard you had to work for money. When I started opening up and looking and really, soaking in stories of people who didn't have to work 24/7 to, make a good money or become financially independent, I started to seek more of those stories. And the more of those stories I saw, the more my brain naturally started to change. And that's what happens in your brain. And it's why I put those stories all throughout, the Manifest 10K course, because as you're taking that course, every day that you read a story, your brain is naturally letting go of the how. So it's really saying, okay, I don't have to control this. This stuff can come out of nowhere. I don't have to believe that I have to figure out how to do it because that person didn't know how to do it, or that money just randomly showed up, right? So that's key. If you join Manifest 10K at manifest10k.com, you get those stories automatically. So if you're just doing the process in the book, or just listening to the podcast, that's totally cool. It's totally fine. Conveniently, I'm going to start sharing with you lots of stories of money manifesting in just a couple weeks, starting in a couple weeks. I'm going to share that with you. So you'll have this as a resource, as one resource. Another, you can go to Good Vibe blog. Jeanette Ma always talks about, money manifesting. It's a great place to go. I have some stories on my blog. If you want to, just join Manifest 10K for the stories, you can do that. Or you can look on the internet, I don't know, buried money. There's lots of stories. Stories always show up when Manifest 10K first started, there was this story about, somebody who just, I don't know, they started digging for a garden in their backyard or something and found all these gold bars and things like that happen. That's totally possible. And the more you see that, the more your brain lets go of like, oh, I don't have to figure this out because I don't know, something random could happen. I could start digging and I could hit gold or, whatever. So really engage in those stories to amp up your belief about what is possible. Because they really, again, help your brain let go of the how, which helps you manifest quicker and easier. Because when you're not trying to figure out the how, your brain isn't trying to figure out how the how of the money, how money is going to come into your life. A little bit of a tongue twister. You can let go and you can just be open and start allowing money into your life. So wherever you find those stories and read them often. Start creating your own stories. Like, write down your own stories of when money showed up randomly so that when you need a little belief bump, you can go refer to those. Again, it's a great reason to join Manifest 10K at manifest10k.com because, a Facebook group. So people are, constantly posting how money showed up in their life. I have a great story to share with you at the end, but money showed up in their life when they started the course. And so that also, the more you see people like that, that helps, let go of the how. It amps up your belief. So look for those stories, make it a point to start seeing those stories in your reality. And then of course, the other thing that you want to do is you want to celebrate early and you want to celebrate often. I just put up a post in, Manifest 10K today and, asked for, share the money that showed up in your life, right? And so some people had thousands of dollars and some people had a couple pennies. And the thing is, when you learn to celebrate all the money that comes into your life, whether it's finding a couple pennies on the ground, the thing that happens is when you start to do that, you start to see more money and you celebrate more money and you start to see more money because money is money. So if you celebrate a penny like you celebrate $10,000, you're going to find more and more money. More and more money is going to find you. It's going to start coming into your life. And like I said at the beginning of the podcast, the more you celebrate, the more you're going to create to celebrate because you're in that energy. You're in that vibration. You're in that space of celebration. And the more, again, sometimes you have to look in the beginning. And sometimes, if you're starting this process at the beginning, it can be hard in the beginning. And maybe hard is not the right word, but it can take some effort and some energy and some diligence and some commitment to look for reasons to celebrate early on. But if you do that, you just start building that celebration momentum. And again, the more things you celebrate, the more you're going to have to celebrate. Remember, like attracts like, and you will always get more of what you focus on. So when you focus on celebrating because money is showing up in your life, that turns attention to what you want to experience more of. To make celebrating really powerful and supercharge your attraction, keep track of both how money is coming into your life and how evidence is showing up all around you. So you can celebrate the evidence, like when you see money on the billboard or you see, somebody else getting a big check, somebody getting a inheritance, somebody getting a bonus, somebody getting a raise, somebody finding money. Celebrate that's evidence in your life that stuff is getting closer to you. Celebrate that. It's often the thing people don't want to celebrate. They're like, oh, well, that person got it and I didn't. No, that means it's close to you. So celebrate that. That's evidence. And then also celebrate when money comes into your life. Keep track of it. I love it. You heard Karin, several podcasts ago, but you heard Karin's story about reading the book and manifesting $14,300. Karin kept a list of everything she manifested, whether it was a penny or, a new client worth thousands of dollars. She wrote it down on her sticky note so that she could celebrate it, so that she could put her energy and attention there. I promise you, the more you celebrate, the more you'll have to celebrate. Again, foundational. That was about the time, when I decided I'm going to celebrate more stuff in my life. I'm just going to take the time out and celebrate it. Is the same time I was working on my money mindset, but everything gets better. Celebrating makes the journey more fun. And once you learn to enjoy the journey, everything else becomes easier, so much easier. In fact, I love this. Amanda, who is she was real successful in the course. And she said, truly, this was her advice, truly enjoy the journey. That will be the most rewarding thing you'll ever do. And, celebrating as often as possible really helps you celebrate that journey. So find reasons to celebrate, find reasons to just be excited and celebrate the fact that there is money in abundance in your life and that you're seeing more of it. Because when you celebrate that, you will literally see more of it and you'll create more to celebrate. So that's the phases. That's, so that's kind of how you put the process together. Not kind of, it is how you put the process together. First, you're focusing, you're getting clear and you're, identifying your abundance feelings. You're tapping into those. You're focusing on what you want and you're allowing money into your life. And again, you're doing that through the whole 90 days, really from now until forever. You're getting clear about what you want, identifying your abundance feelings, focusing on what you want, and allowing money into your life. Ever since you start this process, you're always doing that. Day 31 to 60, you add in that, creating your new money beliefs and creating your new money persona and integrating that persona into your life. And again, you're always doing that. That's once you hit that phase, you keep doing that. You keep stepping into that money persona. You keep integrating him or her into your life. And then the last part, stepping into that experience, really scripting and giving yourself the opportunity to experience what it feels like to have more than enough. By writing it as if it's already happened. I have so much money. I'm so abundant. I'm so glad all this money's flowing into my life. I'm so thankful. I'm so grateful. Money finds me all the time. I'm so grateful every time I open my account, there's more and more money. 5 minutes a day, you're giving yourself that chance to play with that. And then along the way, you're amping up your belief in what's possible by either seeking out stories or joining Manifest 10K to get my stories or listening to the podcast so that you can keep amping your belief up in what's possible and how money just shows up. Because I promise you, I did this poll once. I think I've told you about this before. Kind of early on in the course, I took some 10 or 12 people, maybe 15, that were really successful. And I did a questionnaire and we did like a call with them and they shared their stories. And I asked the question, did the money show up how you thought it would? 100% the answer was no. So it never shows up the way that you think. And that's why it's important to keep, hearing these stories about how money just shows up out of nowhere, because that's how it's going to happen for you. It's probably not going to happen how you think it's going to happen. And then, of course, you want to celebrate early and celebrate often so that you can create more to celebrate. Because like attracts like, and the more you celebrate, the more you're going to have to celebrate. So I told you I had a cool story from Manifest 10K that I wanted to share with you at the end to just show you, money comes out of nowhere when you line up with it. So there's somebody, and she shared in the group, she was in the course for 3 days, and I'm going to try and interview her so you all can hear the whole story. She had been in the course for 3 days, and a friend asked her, to help him, or if she wanted to do some photography. She's a photographer, and she went along with him and did some things and got 3 new jobs totaling $1,800 in 3 days. 3 days of setting herself up and aligning with money. Now, it doesn't always happen that fast. Sometimes you got to stay the course and you got to turn the cruise ship, right? And sometimes it does. But the point is that it does work. If you work this process, if you do the process, it works. And it can happen super quickly. Things can change in 3 days. So just want to share with you a mantra before we end this episode, and that is, I look for reasons to celebrate. I look for reasons to celebrate. So practice that. I look for reasons to celebrate. I love this mantra. And it probably should be, I find reasons to celebrate. I'm editing myself. I find reasons to celebrate. I find reasons to celebrate. Practice that as it feels good this week. Own it, say it. If it feels good, integrate it into what your money persona thinks and feels, and just see how it feels when you say it. Thank you for being here, and I'll be back next week. Can't wait to share more with you about how to manifest $10,000. Bye.
Thank you for joining us on The More Money Show. To learn the step-by-step process to welcome more money into your life, go to manifest10k.com.